Nioh 3 is without a doubt one of the best Souls-like games I've ever played. It can stand tall and proud next to even giants like Elden Ring, and I do not say that lightly. But that greatness does come at a cost. Some of it expected and some of it just kind of weird. Let me show you what I mean, and don't worry, I'll keep the spoilers to a minimum. The footage you'll see will be from the very first chapter only. The Nioh series has always had very technical combat, and Nioh 3 takes that to the next level. Not only is every weapon full of complex combos, but you're also essentially playing as two characters at the same time. Your samurai form is classic Nioh. It's all about dodging, parrying, and overwhelming the opponent with big bursts of damage. But if you need to go full Sonic the Hedgehog and just bounce around the arena, you can swap to the new ninja form at any time. It is a hypermobile, death by 1,000 cuts sort of playstyle, and it is the perfect complement to the more methodical samurai form. And since the game lets you build both of them up at the same time, I found myself constantly swapping between them. But there is a catch. Learning all of this is a struggle. Even a single form is overloaded with complexity that, while not mandatory in your first playthrough, is always there, tempting you to embrace the madness and become a one-man fireworks show. And embrace it I did, because getting better at the combat feels amazing. The game rewards aggression. It encourages you to go wild and combo enemies to death, which then makes you more likely to take damage, which then makes the fights even more intense. And so you get sucked into this escalating cycle of over-the-top action. And the boss fights against the yokai are where this action peaks. They are utterly brutal, but also fair. Bosses that will use your face as a mop the first couple of tries, but once you figure them out, you'll be able to straight up humiliate them. One of the early bosses is a returning champion, the big ol' horse demon. I have a major soft spot for him because he kept beating my ass like a bongo back in Nioh 2. So when I saw him in Nioh 3, I equipped my biggest sword and ran straight at him, at which point he proceeded to beat my ass like a bongo. Yet I kept coming back, over and over again, because the struggle never felt pointless. I was getting destroyed, yes, but with each attempt I was also getting noticeably better. So by the time I finally beat his ass, I didn't just win a bunch of loot, I became a better player. Same thing with the next boss and the next, until eventually all of the combat systems clicked together and I just stopped thinking about how complicated it all was and just started to focus on having fun. And let me tell you, there was a lot of that. And speaking of the yokai, the main reason I bought Nioh 1 many years ago was the weird and creative enemy design. And I am delighted to say that has continued in Nioh 3 as well. Many of the cooler ones like the Horsey Boy or the Scythe Weasel have made a return, and there is a whole menagerie of new ones to backstab and dissect. And honestly, they're all really cool, just the right balance of horrific and goofy. So if you wanted to fight some bizarre and unique demons, you'll get your wish here. But then the monkey paw curls. While there is a good variety of enemies, the game doesn't actually utilize them very well. Some of them are only seen a couple of times, while others like the pig-headed pokey guys are bloody everywhere. Now don't get me wrong, they look awesome and they are very fun to fight, which is probably why they're everywhere, but man oh man, did they really need to be everywhere. As for the visuals themselves, Nioh 3 mixes the quiet Japanese countryside with horrific death and destruction. And while this probably speaks badly of me, I really like that. Seeing something pretty desecrated is a lot more striking than just watching a dumpster fire. Unsurprisingly, this gives the game a really good atmosphere. Sneaking through a burned city covered in weird demon goop or watching a giant eyeball monster blot out the entire sky are moments that will stick with you for a very, very long time. That said, I just wish I could actually see them. For whatever reason, the contrast is all wrong. The dark areas are essentially Vanta black, while the bright ones are so shiny you might go blind. Usually, you just go into the options menu and fix this, but there is no such thing. All you have is a brightness slider that can help with one problem and make the other much, much worse. It truly is a bizarre oversight. After Elden Ring's redonkulous success, I wasn't even slightly surprised to see that Nioh 3 ditched its predecessor's mission-based system in favor of a large open world. As you would expect, it comes with all of the stops: enemy bases to crush, collectibles to find, bosses to hunt down, and more loot than any samurai could ever hope to carry back. But the open world does come at a heavy cost. Despite having a latest generation CPU, some locations would absolutely hammer it and make my FPS go up and down like a roller coaster. I ended up massively reducing my settings to combat this, and while that did get me a mostly stable frame rate, it also made the game look like Nioh 1, which is not ideal. On the flip side, you don't need a good GPU to run the game. My 12GB 3060 didn't even come close to struggling throughout my playthrough, not even once. I also never had any crashes or any notable bugs. It really is just a CPU optimization holding everything back. But was the performance hit worth it for a big open world? And the answer is both yes and no. On the positive side, it is genuinely a lot of fun to explore. It's not just a bunch of open fields and forests. There's a lot of handcrafted areas to turn upside down looking for secrets. And since the world is divided into smaller chunks with level recommendations, I never felt overwhelmed or confused about where to go. I could just pick a direction and keep going until everything was stripped bare of any shinies. And as a certified magpie, I found that to be quite compelling. Even in the late game, when the whole thing did get a bit old, I still enjoyed exploration as there was enough unique and interesting stuff sprinkled throughout to keep things exciting. As for the problems, it's really just one. The same one Elden Ring had. Since you can approach the game from any direction, there is no tight difficulty curve or pacing. Instead, some areas and bosses can be insane roadblocks because you met them too early, while others are complete cakewalks as you can just power through them with raw numbers. So much like Elden Ring, I think Nioh 3 needs an optional setting to let the world scale with you, just to make sure you're not punished for being curious and exploring as much as you can. While I know very few people go into Souls-like games looking for the story, I am one of the weirdos who really, truly cared. So how was Nioh 3? Honestly, kind of eh. There's a lot of time travel involved, so it was hard to truly understand or even really care about what was happening. And since the big bad guy was kind of a wet blanket in terms of personality, I found myself more interested in cuddling all the cute spirits than the story itself. But what really surprised me was the voice acting. I know I can barely speak, so I really shouldn't be throwing any stones here, but almost all of the dialogue was weird, stilted, and, strangest of all, the actors mispronounced words.
You'll be able to rid us of this crucible.
But yokai in such numbers must have come from around the hunting caves.
Not that often, but often enough that I really started to notice. It ended up reminding me of old dubbed samurai movies I used to watch as a kid, and you know what? In hindsight, I kinda love how cheesy it is. And you know what else I love? Loot. Tons and tons of it, which is exactly what Nioh 3 delivers. Pretty much every enemy explodes in a shower of items like it's a Diablo game. Naturally, most of it is complete garbage you'll either sell or scrap, but going through my haul and picking and choosing the few exceptional pieces has been something I've greatly enjoyed since I really do like making my own builds. And I certainly hope you do as well, because the game has a truly absurd amount of customization options. Every time you think you've seen it all, the game will roll up and go, "Oh yeah, I forgot, here's one more thing you can put points into." While these are fairly minor upgrades, you can still use them to push your character in a variety of different directions, especially given the whole samurai and ninja divide. And yet, it's never overwhelming because Nioh 3 does something very clever. It lets you respec literally every part of your character for free. You cannot actually make a mistake. If you try something and it just fails miserably, you can just go boop 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 and you're suddenly a completely different character. I cannot even begin to describe how much I love that, because as someone that has commitment issues in any game I play, being able to swap around at whim truly is wonderful. So much so that I'm probably going to do something I usually never do and push into New Game Plus, just to see how far I can take my character. And now for the big question. Would I recommend Nioh free? Absolutely, as long as you have a powerful CPU or wait for an optimization patch. It's one of the most addicting, satisfying games I've played in ages, and while it does stumble on occasion, I have never actually stopped having fun with it. But perhaps the biggest piece of praise I can offer is that I am currently looking for any excuse to finish this video and get back to playing. So if you're on the fence, definitely give the free demo a try. It really is a blast. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, a like and a sub would help me out a lot, and I do hope to see you again soon. Bye bye!